What's going on, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Double M Live, where we have a special guest with us tonight. So, if you are tuned in onto the Double M podcast, you stayed to listen to our interview with. Man, I could go on forever because this is my brother. I've known him for a long time now. We go way back in our Bridgewater days. That's our college days. My brother Destiny Nacho is in the building, the CEO and founder of Destiny's House, and he's here to chop it up with me, man. I'm honored and blessed to have you, my brother, to chop it up with you, interview you, and learn more about your business and your premier. Let me say that correctly. Your premier networking firm.
Thank you very much. I think that's I would have to say though, I'm more honored to be here. For those of your fans and your listeners, God knows, again, I was talking to a good friend of mine, Barack, and we were just saying how hard it is to get a hold of So I don't know if I'm the one being blessed here. So again, I just want to say
Anytime,
thank you for taking the time and making this happen for me. I'm very appreciative.
listen, anytime you can humbly just name drop the president of the United States by the first name, we are not at the same level, my brother. We don't play this game with me. We are not at the same level.
No. Again, let me say I'm honored, for taking the time out because everyone has a busy day, and that's part of what we
Yeah.
want to talk about as well here. Doing things with intentions, and yeah, I'm all for it.
Awesome, bro. So, yo, Destiny, I brought back how we went to school together, we went to college together. So we know each other. So this isn't no BS interview, right? We're gonna get straight to it and have some real conversations. Can you let everyone know where do you come from? Where's your descent from?
Sure. So while I was born in Boston, well, Brighton, Massachusetts, my parents are from Nigeria, both of them. My dad was a professor back in Nigeria. My mom too, a teacher, before coming to this country many years ago. I was fortunate enough, under weird circumstances, believe it or not. I grew up in Nigeria. I was there at the age of 7, and I spent about seven years in Nigeria, the southeast, and the southeast part of Nigeria. So I was able to pick up the language, pick up the writing, pick up a lot of things. So fast forward years later, I'm now beginning to realize the importance of what a network could do, what a network of groups of people could do in terms of getting a piece of that American pie. And so, what my message here today is with Double M Media is we're here to make sure that the next generation learns the importance of networking so they can have a hand up. And so, when they get to these institutions, to these bodies, they can say we're here for a hand up, not a handout.
So what do you mean by like get a piece of the American pie? Bro,
so
what is the American pie, bro?
so it varies, right? It's. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your question. I'm sorry.
No, that is my question. That is my question.
What is American Pie? So for there's a saying, to some fair is foul, and to some foul is fair. So American Dream is different to everybody, but from what I stand about, what I believe and what Destiny's House is all about, is making sure that we're at the table and I have these conversations, and the normal thing to say is that immigrants, African American, brown and black people are um, the movers of the economy, you
Right.
know. And what they mean by, well, when people say that, what I'm used to seeing is people, the movers of the economy, the jobs that normally people won't take. So even in the healthcare field, most of the CNAs and LPNs are people of color. um, when you go to these restaurants, cleaners are mostly, they could be of that African descent, Uber drivers, people who aren't really getting, you know, the who aren't aware of what their status could do, of what their communication amongst each other could do. And so that American pie also includes being able to be at the table when procurement opportunities are arising. And what do I mean by that? You know, people like companies like Amazon, Target, Fortune 500 companies, federal government agencies, and powerhouses. Each one of these companies, each one of these agencies, each one of these institutions has a section where they're putting out millions of dollars every year, ensuring that different minority groups are part of that procurement opportunity. So let's just say, for example, Dell Computers or Dell Industries, Dell Technologies, they'll have a procurement opportunity for, let's just say, Double M Media to
Mm-hmm.
broadcast a segment with Google, grow with Google. There's no reason why Marvin, why you shouldn't be part of that opportunity and say, hey, I've been doing interviews for the past 5 years, X, Y, and Z. I'm good at what I do. I could host this in front of thousands of people online, right?
Right.
We have, you and I know IT gurus that are looking for contracts out there to help, the cybersecurity world. And so you have people like, um, I'll just use an example, a wild example here. Um, Verizon. Verizon needs a whole bunch of people to create a whole bunch of cyber engineers. You and I know cyber engineers from our community. Why aren't they on that procurement list and opportunity?
Right.
And part of when you start having that conversation with folks, you'll understand that it's paperwork. It's not knowing the right department and the agency or the Fortune 500 company to reach out to. Who are these people? And so, Destiny's House, that is our mission. Our sole purpose is to make sure we're listening to the African diasporans in that government sector, in the business sector, listening and making sure we're taking their business to the best apex, so bringing the right people to the table that they should know about.
It's as simple as I remember. Right. So I'm West African as well, as you know. I'm
Yes.
Ivorian. I remember going to the Cote d'Ivoire when I was 15 years old,
Hmm.
and so that was the first time I was old enough and conscious enough to understand things. Right. So when you're 15, you go to high school, you go to your school lunch. Everyone has their own food. Everyone eats separately. Everyone has their own tray. Right. I remember going to Africa. Right. And there's one bowl and there's one bowl of water. Everyone puts their hand in the water, wash their hand, and we all eat off that one bowl.
Hmm.
That's the African mindset, right? We're all eating together. If I eat, you eat. We all eat. We all put our hands in that bowl, rice. We scoop it, put it in our sauce, and we eat it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm dead.
But
I'm hip.
but then you just when you say the American pie and when you brought that up, it reminds me of how those who have the American pie I'm not going to let you know how they're not leaving the breadcrumbs behind on how you can have some American pie too or make your own pie as well. So with Destiny's House, how are you or how do you plan to show others how to get some of that pie as well? What are
Sure.
the steps? What are the steps into doing so or like how can we figure it out ourselves as well?
So, the first thing I will say is that it takes innovation.
Mm,
The old ways are, they've seen it all. So when you become more innovative by reach out to the right person, and you won't know, there's a saying out there that you'll stay the same place if the right people don't know where you want to go. So sometimes it's taking that network,
agree.
finding those people like Marv. I'm pretty sure right now, if I said, you know what, I'm thinking of, you know, um, doing a, a business talk with YouTube. I don't want to reach out to you because probably your network is incredibly far stronger than I am in the
Hmm.
media world. But you know what? It's how do we leverage how do we leverage this network that we have here? How do we leverage this friendship? How do we turn it into something that's much more bigger? And how do we finally, how do we, you and I take our ideas, our skills, our expertise, combine them together, and do as Horace Mann said, feel ashamed to die until you've won some type of victory for humanity. So if I know that your network can expand and blow out, and you know that my network or my ideas, it may make sense. So I'm going to put you in touch with the right person. Who knows? You're
Yeah.
opening up a door. And so it's left for you or left for me to then take that introduction now and mold it. All right. You've been given, um, it's like you're cooking right now and you've done it. And I know your parents have done this before. Marvin, I'll be back. I have to run across the store. Finish cooking this rice for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you know one thing, it's not gonna burn. That's you're not gonna let
Pressure,
it
yeah.
burn.
Pressure's on. You better not let that thing
You
burn.
better not let it burn. So just as you wash that rice, just as you put that, you make sure you're every 5-10 minutes you're checking the rice and make sure it's
Yeah.
good enough, or you're adding more water, whatever the case is. That's exactly how you should treat your relationships. You should water it. You should check up on it. So if you don't get that email back, if you don't get that phone call back, try again. Right. The
Right.
worst thing they can ever do is tell you no. Right. But at least when they tell you no, you can go back to your drawing board and say, what is it? What could I have done to make that relationship better? What could have I done to have made that a more successful venture? So Destiny's House, again, it teaches these things. Did you know, like I was explaining to someone the other day, did you know, like, these ties that we wear, so it has some type of significant meanings? So what's the impact that you're making on the first instance? What is that first impact? And as you know, as you may know, it's harder for people that look like you and I.
Yeah.
Our counterparts can walk in there with a t-shirt and it's okay.
It's
Because
acceptable.
this is a relationship that's been molded for years. This is something, companies to company. This is something that they don't even need to meet. It's just a phone call and the deal's done. But for you and I, with the first president that we set, sorry, when we meet folks who are in positions to help or who are power making decision, in that the the first instance that they see us, what are we saying to them? Are you calm? Are you trying to say? Are you bold? Are you showing clarity? Are you showing confidence? Are you happy? Do you mean business? Are you a person of power? Like, so again, it's all in there. Your presentation. Are you forceful when you talk? Are you a jovial person? What does all these things mean? Or did you do your research before you walk into that company? Did you know that maybe you're making someone smile by wearing company logo ties? You don't know, but all these things help. So there's these small little, you know, ingredients that make that jollof rice taste so good, right? It could be Maggie cube. It's this small little cube, but look at what it does. It does wonders.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the fried onions, right? So you don't know what you're doing or what the other person may see that catches that small attention that you needed,
Right.
and boom, it all becomes a thing. So part of it is paperwork, part of it is knowing the guys, companies hire grant writers to go seek grants out there. There's free money out there, but who is it that we're talking to? You've made this connection on LinkedIn. Most people have 500 plus LinkedIn friends and followers, but are you really making use of it? So Destiny's House is exactly what we're here to do. Make sure that we're connecting. You're connecting with the right people for the right thing with intention. And as soon as that happens, the sky's your limit, or I should say, the world is your oyster.
That's such a unique idea in doing so. So can you explain to me like the process of it? So I'm Marv. I'm from Double M Media. I'm on Destiny's House. I want to branch out my network. People in Los Angeles and the West Side are not have no idea about Double M. They just think all we do is talk about Boston, and they don't know that we're global. We talk about everything that's happening around the world. I'm coming to you, Destiny. What do you provide for me?
Sure. So first thing I want to do is I want to get to know a little bit about you. I want to get to know
Right.
about the media. What is its goals? Who are the target audience? What is the timeline if you're trying to make this thing happen? And most importantly, what is the financial goal? Are you looking by the end of the year? We want to have 3 endorsements. We want to have, what is the target goal for?
Okay.
Because all at the end of the day, we want to know what the money purpose is. So that tells
Mhm.
us, you know what? If you're looking for something in that like that endorsement, maybe we should reach out to X, Y, and Z. Let me look through my contacts. And what I mean by my contacts is Marv. The secret is how you package, right? How you market it. There was a professor over at Suffolk University, um, good guy. He says to me, "Humi, Humi, how you market it, the way you talk, the way you, even if you don't have
How
that
you
network,
market it?
go out there, make it work, because you're now a client. There's people that get paid $7,000 to do the same thing, to go and find a client. So why would you pay someone 7,000 when Destiny's House could do it at a very good price, could do it at a very good thing? Because we two are in the business of getting to know people on your behalf. Say, hey, we got this guy out there, and we'll embarrass ourselves. We'll put our neck on the line. Kanye West told a story which I really admire. When he was making Watch the Throne, he said, "I'm gonna go out there." He's Jay-Z. He said, "I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna try these things, and I'm putting it to the masses. If I come back with arrows on my face, I'm gonna tell you I didn't work."
Hmm.
So before Marv and Double M Media embarrassed themselves, Destiny's House has already done it. That's not the right people we want to talk to, Marv. This is the right people, because we did the research. We took the pains and stakes to go out there and dig this name out for you. This is the person that we talked to, and he said you should give him a call instead. Thus, a relationship has been born between Double M Media and whoever in California. So then we say to
That's
you, this is how you, like, if you don't know, and I'm pretty sure, but if you don't know, this is what we advise when you reach out. This is the time you reach out on a Tuesday afternoon at 12:15 p.m. every Tuesday till you get a response, because we've done the research for you and said, you know what, this person responded. It took us a little bit of time, but we noticed that he responded at 5:30 p.m.,
so you
which
guys
is
got the algorithms and everything
you
with
have
it as
to.
well.
No, you have to.
Right.
I did this. I did this for a while when I was at US PAC, US Pan Asian American Chamber of Commerce. I bang phones all day. I'd send emails, and when I noticed, I'd take a track. I'd keep a track of, okay, this is the CEO of a $50 million company. He got back to me at 4:34 p.m. This is my time to reach him every single time. So if I'm
Hmm.
gonna reach out to him, I sent this email on Tuesday 2 weeks ago. He responded back to me on Thursday, 4:34 p.m. This is a perfect time.
That's when I'm gonna hit them
Hey,
up.
Marv, I don't know, but every time I got a response back from Mike over at C-SPAN, it was at this time. It was in the evening. You should probably take this time now, and blah, blah, blah. So again, it's the art of it. It's the art of it. Sometimes it's all about making sure that we're mentioning things like, hey, Mike, Marv over from Double M Media, he thought he would be a great person to talk to, who can then expand your network and let me know where to go. So intent, right? You're reaching out to
Yep.
Mike because, or I'm reaching out to Marv because Mike told me so, or vice versa. I'm doing these things, and it's like, oh, I know who Marv is, of course. All right, well, I'll do it for him. No problem. This is what you want to do. And I can't emphasize this enough. The worst that you can say is no, or the worst
It's
that you can
no.
hear is no.
So you bring up LinkedIn. You brought up the algorithms, and with Destiny's House growing, and everything that we do now is through social media. Social media is how we can network with somebody that we've never even seen before. Like 2 3 years ago, Destiny, in order for us to do this, we probably have to be in person.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like we not like this, not as if this was impossible. It's just the knowledge wasn't there to say, okay, we can just do a virtual interview,
Interview.
or we can do virtual thing. Can you dive in a little bit on just how Destiny's House in 2022 is going to be using social media and these new technologies that we have now? Because you bring up algorithms and stats, I'm guessing you have that takes time, that takes a lot of practice, because you've made the calls, or you have a statistician or something that's keeping track of these things. How are you guys moving with the times to keep up with everything and helping out with your clients?
Sure. So, that's a very good question. And, one of the reasons why, ethnic groups like the Chinese or the Asians are so successful is that when they learn, they bring it back to their community.
Right.
And so, there's tools out there that I've learned about. HubSpot. Did you know
HubSpot.
HubSpot?
That's what I was thinking of when
Hubs-
you were doing that.
yes, it tells you when not you don't want to go out there and say, hey, so I noticed that at 5:35 p.m. you responded, because you're giving away your sauce. But
Right.
however, it does give you that indication, like, then you have things like Salesforce that tells you, or even in that HubSpot, actually. Let me go back. That HubSpot will tell you if you put out programs out there, or put on things like double M media, social media, or put out the time frames where double media has shows, and people start clicking around. It tells you, okay, this person clicks this percentage right here. They really went through double M media's social media platform pages. This is where our focus with this person will be customized. So not just as the algorithm, but we also got to customize to different clientele. So we plan on using those tools, noticing where the interaction is more within a certain group. Learn how that client or that client wants us to communicate. If this is something that they're reaching out for across, let's just say our client is in Nigeria and they want to have business with folks in US. What is that time frame looking like? I've done it. I've been in Nigeria. I've worked, while in Nigeria for companies in the US. So that time frame matters too.
Right.
We want to make sure we're giving you sound advice. We're customizing your relationship with these folks so that there's no awkwardness, right? So you don't want to have a client calling from South Africa at 2 a.m. and this is like a CEO of a $10 million company. This is a guy who needs sleep, right? So if you're disturbing him, you may have just pissed him off right then and there. So again, we want to make sure that we're giving you proper advice. Those small little things that people don't think about, because as General Spider once said, that Africa is not the focus of America right now, and it does reflect. So we want to make sure we're coming correct so that in, you know folks are successful in their business adventure. Another thing that we're also focused on, Marv, is making sure that diasporan groups here are taking advantage. We
Right.
have I don't know if your parents belong to one or a couple, but there's a lot of social clubs that are not taking advantage of the numbers that they have. Hence why
Okay.
representation for sub-Saharan Africans at the table are so little. All these groups that go about and spend thousands of dollars every year, they have a Christmas party, they have meetings, and it's crazy because you'll see like people. I'm pretty sure you've gone to a wedding or you've gone to these
Listen.
meetings.
The, yep.
It is lit.com.org
Bro.
actually.
Fire. Fire.
Like this money that we're putting towards food, everyone comes together, like at a party, you could raise anywhere between, and correct me if I'm wrong, between $300 to $3,000 in one sitting.
Yeah.
Now imagine putting that money together and saying we want to form a 501c3 and put up our network where our money is. There's no reason why elected officials won't be coming to you or to your group and telling your group what exactly they're doing for the community. There isn't a reason why when you write a letter as a 501c3 to the procurement department of Dell Computers or Dell Technology that they won't have some type of interest. You have all these members, they want to know who these people are. And because federal law has mandated it, they are obligated to give their procurement contracts to people of color, to different ethnic groups. So if the Pan Asians are out there getting it, LGBTQ community is getting it, the Hispanic community is getting it, the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce, there's no reason why Africans shouldn't be getting it too.
That's that's beautiful. And like a reason why I've always loved you is how proud you are being where you're from, and standing on that. I knew you as Destiny the proud Nigerian. and that's always made me feel comfortable being around you, because you never shied away from that. So something that I've always battled with, right, is when we get into these spaces as black men, as African men and women, we want to be authentic, but we also want to be accepted. We don't want to fake the funk. You brought up a couple examples when we started off this interview of how, ways to present yourself, and
Mhm.
and speak to how. Can you just talk about, because you're a real dude, like everyone who's listening that doesn't know Destiny, this is a real guy, you know what I'm saying? Like I know Destiny, like this ain't no BS, some guy just from Nigerian, you know can be in any circle. But I've seen you with the politicians as well. I've seen you mingle with them, and I've seen that you stay true to yourself. How can you give advice to me, other people that look like us, to where we can still be authentic and be our true self? But when we go into these circles where they're the politicians or people from backgrounds that look nothing like us, or they'll never understand what we come from or what we have to deal with after we leave this function, what advice can you give to us on just being authentic to yourselves, but still being accepted?
Man, that's a great question. That's a great question. And you know, there's one of our mottos at Destiny's House is it takes a few seconds to say hello and forever to say goodbye if you do it the right way. If you're part of that network, if you're using that network to your advantage and doing it the right way, there's no reason why you couldn't be um, remembered. So part of keeping it, you know, interesting is doing your research before you meet up with you see these guys. You never know, and that's why it's really imperative that you really get a look at that newspaper in the morning. You never know who you're gonna bump into. So if you're and I say that because of the environment I work in, which you never know. So whatever industry that you're in, make sure that you're paying attention to the news that's making circles, that's making
Right.
rounds within your sector, your within your space, because if you bump into that person, you have a conversation. And people love CEOs, top officials they love when people talk about them, right? Little they say bad news is better than no news, right? Or bad gossip
Right.
is better than no gossip. You want to be make sure that people are, hearing about you, or smallest things. Um, and I'll give you an example. I used to work at this company called Waters. They deal with technology for making weapons, making different types of equipment, and um, the CEO. Again, I was just an ordinary security guard, but
Hmm.
the sole fact that I knew he went to MIT, I looked at his LinkedIn, I scouted him. It was like one morning that opportunity presented itself. It was a Saturday, 6 a.m. And I just happened to be at the front desk. He came in, and I forgot what I said, but something along the lines of your thesis over at MIT, just something in that. It has been a while.
Yeah.
Um, Before you knew it, there was the opportunity to have lunch with him. Nothing was
Oh,
much. Nothing came out of it, but it was just like,
right.
this is a guy who knows, tomorrow I can call and say, hey, can you
Right.
do me a favor? Is something like that. And what have I done with that opportunity, Marvin? Believe it or not, every now and then, every December, no matter where I am, no matter where I am, I'll take a look at my Rolodex and pick out people that I know can make a difference in my life. Whether it's Fred Clark, whether it's Diana Presley, whether it's just those contacts.
Yeah.
Hey, just checking in. Wanted to see if there's not just to see, but I wanted to see how you're doing. Hope all is well. If there's anything I can do, please let me know. You never know. You
Never
never know
know.
how
Wow,
things happen.
that's great advice,
I'm
bro.
telling you, every December, forget the Facebook stuff, forget all that stuff, forget all the birthday chat, the chit chat chat. No, no, every December you want to make it peculiar. I don't know. I don't care if it's on like October 1st for you, But every year, once a year, just take the time and just shoot that email. You never know what's gonna come back, and keep that relationship fresh. Keep it something that to always go back on, because you just never know. And one thing you have to do is show up. So
Yeah.
take a little time and invest in yourself. Show up to those conferences. Show up to those free events where they're gonna be. So whatever industry you're in, whatever event there is, go there. Make sure you're signing up for those emails. Make sure for those updates, those email updates. Make sure you're just reaching out. And I'll give
Just
you an
never
example.
know.
You never know. I'll give you one example before I had this company, this African diaspora network, had no idea who they were. But I'm just searching on LinkedIn, looking to expand my network. This name came up, and I just added her. She's the executive director of this network. I just added
Mm-hmm.
her there, and snooping around. She accepts my request. Introduce myself, and tell her what my talents are, what I'm looking to do. I was referred to another person, like, oh, this is the person who handles those things, those events, those blah blah blah. Then we had another conversation. All this is happening while she's in California. I'm in Boston. But again, you've got to know when to reach out. So her replying to me is at 7:47 in the morning. I gotta respond right then and there. Have her attention.
Right.
So these are opportunities that are brewing. Now we Destiny's House has a win for something happening in California in 2023. Plan ahead. Never be innovative. Be innovative. I don't care
Love
what it
that.
is.
I love that.
Be innovative. Don't be afraid, because the worst thing they can do is no. But they accepted you for a reason. So water that plant. Not every plant that you water begins, at the beginning. You've got to take up a few tulips. You've got to take up a few what do you call it? Oh, the petals. You got to take up a few petals, right?
Right.
But eventually, when it starts to blossom, it doesn't stop. It just starts growing, keeps growing and growing and growing. That's how it be. So
Those are gems, bro. Those are gems you dropping right now, guy.
I'm gonna do what I
With
can.
with the little time that we got left here, Destiny, man, I'm gonna pivot a little bit.
Sure.
We both Africans, as we just said. I know you've been paying attention to this Amapiano scene that's been blowing up right now. You know what I'm talking about?
Something to that effect.
The music genre right now, Amapiano, is going crazy. The South African music wave is going crazy. And you being Nigerian, I know you know all about the Afro beats and
The
how
Afro,
it's
yeah.
come and it's made its wave. Amapiano's getting is coming up right now, and it's making a craze. But I say that just to say, like, how beautiful, you being born and raised in the United States, so you've seen it all. You've probably been called it all, growing up, and probably even coming back, relearning the language and the accent and everything like that. But how beautiful is it for you to see just how people are embracing our culture?
Um, you know who I am, and sometimes filtering is not one of my fortes. Um, what comes to mind right now is don't be a menace to society while drinking oranges on the south side of Central California. I don't know if you remember that scene where uh the the converted Muslim um was at the point he was like, I'm just trying to do what they've been doing for us for 400 years. And what's that? um, for many years, and I digress from that story, but for many years, this has been culture appropriation, culture enjoyment from other folks has been something that we've all experienced one way or the other. I remember when I when people used to be like, "Oh, you're Nigerian," and they'd ask like, "Oh, what's that language?" Like they do the
Mm,
clicking sound, all that stuff.
mm, yep.
It was the same for Haitians. It was the same for Angolians. It was the same for every African group, every African country. And at one point, it was like, damn, dude, I ever said something when I was in third grade, and my teacher said to me, well, if that was the case, your parents wouldn't want to be here.
Mm.
And I said, wow. So when I see our clothes being sold at high-end stores, our patterns being sold at high-end stores, when I see our food being tried to being imitated by Whole Foods, when I see our ingredients at the supermarkets, when I see these things, I say to myself, they're far behind because they haven't even started. And I'll tell you what, the suit that I wore today was custom made in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And people always compliment me when I wear this suit. That's a really nice suit. Where'd you get it from? Brooke Brothers? Nah. This
Nah.
is this is the tailor. If I show you the tailor, you're gonna look at him and be like, you know what? Versace ain't nothing. Like the designers,
Yeah.
the people who put these things together are nothing. Because this is things that they do because it's their talent. It's
It's their
something that
talent. Yeah.
people, and yet they're not in the stores of Filene's or sorry Macy's. They're not at Lord and Taylor, but they should be. So when you talk about the music genre, they're far behind. I don't know if and I don't want to toss shade or anything, but for years, Beyonce has been accused of stealing flows from the Afrobeat world.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's hopping on that. Drake, Justin Bieber, everybody's hopping on that. But a few years ago, mention Davido in the club, they'll be like, who?
Yeah.
Burner Boy could never do what he's doing right now if the if you had if the way wasn't paved, right? So there's just things that I appreciate it, but I still believe they're far behind, and this is where Destiny's House comes in. On a more serious note, we're there to make sure businesses of all sectors are reaching their best apex through networking. So we want to make sure we're hearing more of the Afrobeats. We want to hear, just as you can go into an Italian restaurant and hear their country songs,
Yeah.
Ivory Coast has countryside songs too that should be played on the radio.
Right.
Just as you turn on the radio at 11 p.m. WBUR and you can hear the sounds of Latin America, shoot, you should hear the sounds of African music too at 11
Absolutely.
p.m. or whatever time that is too. So just don't play the radio hits. Play the radio hits from back home and the radio hits, because millions of people bump it. Why shouldn't they hear? So I find it interesting. Before we close out this section, one person said to me a while ago, yeah, Americans enjoy finding out more about African culture, and I said, do they though? Because at the end, the the travels don't show it, the comments don't show it, the business don't show it, the procurement opportunities, the paperworks don't show it. If you really like our culture, you'd be making more waves for us. You'd be actually inviting us to the table and not putting us at odds with each other. And I say that before, for the demarcation of South Sudan and Sudan. This should be one
Yeah.
country, but there's some people out there that decided it should be better with two. So you got two people, and what would they say when two Africans fight? The people who suffers the grass. So you have these two countries that are at odds with each other when they should be with each other. So,
Mm.
I take that with criticism. I take that with with caution when people are saying that people are adapting to the African culture. It's the hot thing right now. It's the thing. It's like when Haiti had their first earthquake.
Right.
Musicians started shouting it
Back
out, and
back in 2010.
Being Haitian was the cool thing to be. So it was a wave. So I'm tired of us being the wave. I'm tired of us being the economy movers. It's this time for us to be the economy decision makers, the CEOs, the board members, the trustees, the executives. You know, so when you're at that table, when you know bank bailouts are happening in the billions of dollars, trillions of dollars to these companies, man, people out there from the African sector diaspora should be also getting that piece of the pie too. So when you talk about the American pie, I'm talking about when CEOs can get a tax break and or get a bailout, company fails because of the network, because of their strength and numbers, they can fly. And this is a true story. They can fly a G7 to the White House to ask for money for their company. I just want people to take a thought about that. While their company's underwater, they're flying G7s to the White House and asking for money because they know they deserve it. So African diaspora deserve that too. We deserve that treatment. I'm not saying we should show up in a G7, maybe a Rolls Royce or Bentley or something, but you know.
I feel that, bro. We here in Double M. We here in Double M, man, with Destiny from Destiny's House, CEO and founder of the premier networking firm. Destiny, it's not the last time we're gonna chop it up. Let the
Absolutely
peoples
not.
know. Let the peoples know what we got in store, bro.
Sure. So you know, Marvin, I just want to say thank you to your listeners. I know the importance of ties, and I have about 5 ties that I want to give away, all Italian silk. I have some
Mm.
one from
Come on now,
Bro-
don't say with your chest now. All Italian silk. That
I
ain't
got
no regular
from,
degulars.
Saks Fifth Avenue tie. Um, we're just giving away some. This is from Michael Kors. Um, just again all the ties that have gotten me places, that I know what it can do for me, that has done for me.
Mm-hmm.
I want our listeners, I would like the listeners, I would want the people who are looking to get into college, coming out of college, looking for those job interviews. I'd like you to have these ties, go out there, and they say when you have a tie on, someone believes that you can help them. So go out there and make people believe that you can help them, and not just make them believe, but actually do help them.
That's beautiful. So we're gonna link again with Destiny, so we can get those ties out and even chop it up some more, man. I love it when
Absolutely.
usually Mike and I are on the show, and Mike and I are usually doing all the talking. I love when I can just sit back and learn. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
for
Not just
sure.
sit back and listen, but sit back and learn. And that's what
And
I got to do tonight. And I know all our
yes,
listeners got to do the same.
if I could say one more thing, I'd
Yeah,
like to,
go
make
ahead,
sure I give you my social media contacts, our social media contact,
please.
Destiny's House, info.destinieshouse@gmail.com is the best way. You will get a response within 24 to 48 hours. Again, that's info.destinieshouse@gmail.com. We are accessible through WhatsApp. We are accessible through Facebook. We have our own thing. And our website is coming through, where we give you an in-depth look at what our service is. So please feel free to reach out. And I really hope you do join us.
And listen, if he responds at 4:30 p.m. on a Thursday, that means that's the window you have. I'm
That's the
learning,
window
dog. That's the window you got. All right. So make sure you pay attention on when he responds. Yeah. Yo,
Marvin, I
appreciate
appreciate
it, bro. This was an honor, and we're gonna do this again.
absolutely.